The advent of code. Once a year, during this special, cold and expensive time of year, this website posts 2 programming problems every day that people across the world compete to finish first. Now, I've done this a few times in the past, and while I'm not reaching the lofty heights of some of the people that make onto the leaderboards, I still enjoy it. But the sound of choosing one language and using that for 25 days straight honestly sounds like work. So this year, I'm going to do something a bit different. I've decided to pick 13 languages and then each day, pick one at random. Let's take a look at the lucky few. C, C++, and C#. I mean, obviously, we couldn't have a list without them really, could we? Clojure. It's always been near the top of my programming bucket list, and I thought what better way to jump in than a video where I film myself coding and put it on the internet for all my future employers to judge me over. Erlang. You mean Elixir? No, Erlang, okay, it's still relevant, there's still Erlang jobs, still many people hacking away at the beam. GD script. This is the Godot game engine scripting language. It's a very nice scripting language. Pretty random choice, but you know what, it's bloody Christmas, I deserve it. Go. Pretty new language, but Google made it, so it must be good. Haskell. Obviously for the flex. God, I hope that day goes well. Imagine how embarrassing that'd be, mentioning that I'm flexing with Haskell and then just... Java. Safe old Java. No pointers, nice IDEs, an absolute gift. JavaScript. Lua. Golden child of the modding community. Python. The IKEA of programming. Import the Flatpak module, spend 20 minutes building, and you're done. And finally Scheme. Bare bones Scheme. Pretty much the exact opposite of Python. Each day, my beautiful hand model assistant is going to randomly pick from the box. This box. After all are picked, I'll probably just let my cat choose the next 12 days. This cat. All the solutions will be available on my GitHub. I'll put the links in the description if you want to check them out. And look, by no means am I some coding genius, so don't be expecting elite code level solutions here, okay? This is a simple coding challenge for fun. But feel free to give me some pointers in the comments. Day 1, well, start out nice and easy. Lua is perfect for writing small scripts to solve the types of problems you'd expect to find on this site. And the problem? Super simple. All we need to do is read a list of values in and find out how many values are bigger than the last one. First things first, I head off to luausers.org to find myself a nice file reading function. All I need to do at this point is split the input data using new lines, iterate over the list, keep track of the previous state, and see if the current value is bigger than the last. I started by writing a function to split the file text into a table of lines. The gmatch method here is using a piece of regex to match all the patterns of the form anything followed by a new line character. The list of these matches is iterated over with the for loop and all the lines are inserted into our table. Then I iterate over the table using the pairs function, convert the string to a number, compare it to the previous result and increase the counter accordingly. And then at the end of the loop, I save the comment depth to be used in the next iteration. After fixing my silly mistake, I run the Lua script using Lua day1.lua, and that's part 1. Part 2 was unsurprisingly pretty similar. Instead of comparing the values and previous value, I now needed to compare values created by summing a group of 3 values together. If my list of values were 1, 2, 3 and 4, then the previous value would be 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, and my current value would be 2 plus 3 plus 4, or better known as 9. So unfortunately the solution to this one, well, it's pretty boring. I tried a few times to write the script to make it sound interesting, you know, a little bit edgy, but it's just not. I mean, iterate over the lines again, keep track of a bit more data, add a few lovely nested if statements, and well, yeah, that's it. And today's language? Java. Easy, by far my most confident language. What could go wrong, eh? Well, look, I'm not proud of this, but I actually had to Google how to make a Java project from scratch. Without IntelliJ holding my hand, I was a lost, lonely puppy trundling through the dark, cold, empty plains of Visual Studio Code. I mean, I even typed out PSVM in the hopes that it would make my main function, but nope, sadly it did not. So, the task. We're predicting where the submarine will end up after a list of commands. The commands take the form of direction followed by a number. The direction can either be forward, up, or down. So I made some static variables to hold these. I should have also probably made them final, but I forgot. I created my main class constructor, had it load and pass the lines of the file, and saved them to a member variable of my main class. Then all I had to do was iterate over the lines, check the command, and sum the converted value of that command to the correct summation variable. One thing to note here is the command equals that I've used to compare the strings. In Java, everything is an object. In other languages, to compare two strings, you would simply use equals equals, or something to that effect. However, in Java, this compares the object references. Even though the strings are the same, the objects that hold them are different, and so the comparison would not work. After definitely not tripping up on that quirk, I multiplied the forward and the depth values together, and part 1 is done. Part 2 was exceptionally similar, except now we realised that up and down values were actually referring to aim, and the depth could be calculated by multiplying the forward value by the current aim value. I copy and pasted the method above, changed the logic slightly to accommodate this, and day 2 is done. Day 3 came around and I was pumped. I had 2 days under my belt, the cobwebs had been blown away and I was ready for a challenge. But then... Yep, it's JavaScript day. Okay, look. While it's not my favourite language, at least I knew there would be a ton of helper functions to get me through as quick as possible. So what was the actual task? Well, apparently our deep sea adventures had not been too kind on the old submarine, and we had to generate a diagnostic report. However, like every good diagnostic report, it wasn't actually human readable, and instead was a list of binary numbers we had to decipher. Given the list of binary numbers, we needed to find the most and least common binary digit in each column. The binary number made of the most common values would be the gamma rate, whereas the least would be the epsilon rate. The multiplication of these two numbers would be our answer. As per, I copy and pasted a file reading function and split the file into a list of lines. I used the first line to find out how long the binary numbers were and initialized a counter array with length equal to the binary number's length. To find out which was the most and least common value in each column, I decided to go for a swing counter method. If the value was 1, I would increment this column's counter by 1. If it was 0, I would decrease it. At the end, if the counter was more than 0, the most common was 1, otherwise the value would be 0. I iterated over the counter rate in reverse so that I could also calculate its decimal value while I was finding the most and least common. Multiplying the resultant values together gave me the answer to the first part of day 3. Part 2 was actually a little more involved than usual. It required checking each column and only passing this value on to the next check if the requirement passed. When only one binary number is left, that is the value we are looking for. For instance, say I have this list of binary digits. Using the first column, I again need to work out the most common value. Then, only binary numbers that have this digit in the first column can move on to the next stage. Then, I repeat this for the next column and the next one until only one binary digit is left. This value is the oxygen generator reading. Repeating the same process but using the least common value this time will give us the carbon dioxide scrubbing rating, and these values multiplied together will be our answer. I'm using the slice function here to clone my list to 2 distinct lists, so I only have to iterate over the binary digits once. Iterating over the digits, I want to stop when I only have one number left in each oxygen and CO2 list, and so I wrap the next iteration of each within a length check. Then for each list, I iterate over the lines, I get the most and least common, and then I use these to filter the lists in time for the next iteration. All that's left now is creating a simple function to convert binary to decimal, as I did in the previous section, and then convert the two, and return the multiplication of them. And that is day 3. No more JavaScript till next year. Well, that's 3 days down. So far so good, but we've definitely been lucky with the languages. Things are probably going to start to take a bit of a nosedive from here on out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, why not give it a like? Maybe even a little cheeky subscribe. Next video should be out in a couple of days, and thanks for watching.